Ragnar said lightly, "Roger, don't forget that this is the Song family. Talking nonsense in the Song family, if it gets to the family's ears, do you still want to have room for mediation?" When Roger heard this, he closed his mouth in shock. Ragnar sighed and said, You are still too impatient to do things. If you encounter problems in the future, you must be more calm. Roger said hurriedly, "Sorry Dad, I was too impulsive." Ragnar said, "Mr. Song has been shrewd throughout his life. Otherwise he would not be able to make such a family business. Therefore, he should not make confused mistakes. If Warnya really likes a plain ordinary person, he will definitely not agree. Let alone support, so I suspect that the other party should be a little real." A cold light flashed in Roger's eyes and said, "Dad, I have never heard of any amazing young Paran in Orus Hill's family. Besides, in the whole Orus Hill, they respect Wu family." Ragnar thought for a while and said, "You also said that the Wu family is respected in the south of the Yangtze River. But looking at the whole country, we are still far behind. Those really powerful hidden families are basically entrenched in Eastcliff. So I suspect, the sweetheart of Warnya mentioned by Mr. Song might be a descendant of one of the Eastcliff family." Roger was anxious and asked quickly, "Dad, what do you mean?" Ragnar said coldly, "Tonight, I am going to host a banquet at Classic Mansion in Orus Hill. I will summon some heads of other Orus Hill families to come to see me. I believe they will be there after hearing my Wu family's name." At this time, Boy Yu came and knocked on the door, and said outside the door, "Mr. Ragnar, Mr. Roger, Mr. Song invites you to the dining room for lunch." "Okay." Ragnar replied and said, "Please tell Uncle Song, we will be there later." As he said, Ragnar lowered his voice again and said to Roger, "I have two purposes for this banquet. First, let people from Orus Hill families help us find clues about your brother. Inquire about the man Warnya likes, find him and see who he is. If it is the offspring of a big family, we will find a way to save the way. If it is really an ordinary person, let him disappear from this world." Roger was overjoyed and quickly agreed, "Dad, I understand." At this moment, Charlie had already prepared lunch, and he was eating with his wife Claire and his father-in-law. During the meal, Jacob appeared extremely excited, with a smile full of expectation on his face. It seemed that there was something joyous. Mother-in-law Elaine frowned, looked at Jacob, and questioned, "You bad old master, smiling so wretched. What are you doing wrong?" "Why?" Jacob said hurriedly, "Our old classmates have made an appointment to go back to their alma mater for a gathering in the afternoon, and we will invite our former class teacher to come together." "Class reunion?" The mother-in-law said contemptuously. "Half of your body is almost into the soil. What kind of class reunion do you have?" "Haven't heard of it. The class reunion is where old lovers go for dates." "Don't talk nonsense." Jacob blurted out, "We go to the party this time. All of them were male students, and none of the female students were invited." "Really?" Elaine looked unbelieving. Jacob hurriedly explained, "It's true, you don't know what happened in our class back then. There were only a few girls in total, and all of them have gone abroad. Now they are all abroad, so this gathering is all men." "I don't believe it. You are not allowed to go." Elaine blurted out, "You must be holding back to see your old friend." "Don't think I don't know." Charlie was stunned. Hearing what his mother-in-law said, Jacob had some romantic stories before? Jacob hurriedly said, "There isn't any good old friends, they are really male classmates." Elaine snorted disdainfully, ignoring Jacob, but her face was a bit ugly. Jacob hurriedly said again, "It happened to be that Charlie can come with me in the afternoon. Our head teacher is now in a wheelchair. There is no elevator in the old building of the old campus. You have to find some young and strong to lift him to the 5th floor classroom. If you can't believe me, let Charlie come back and report to you. There is a female classmate present. I will come back and kneel on the washboard." Elaine said brutally, "Not allowed to go." Jacob was also a little angry, and blurted out, "They are old classmates who I haven't seen in decades. How can I release pigeons? Besides, our class teacher is more than 80 years old. I don't know how long he will live. I'll never see him again." Claire on the side also couldn't see it, and said, "Mom, just let Dad go. It's not easy to organize a class reunion at such an old age. Don't make people laugh by making fun on him." Elaine glared at her and said, "What do you know? Your dad had hooked up with a fox in their class for a long time. If I hadn't taken him down with a little trick, your dad would have gotten together with that fox. Go, if that's the case, how can you be there?" Charlie was surprised when she heard this. How could it sound like it was a third party from the mother-in-law? Why did she act as if she was reasonable? Jacob's face was also a little uncontrollable at this time, looking at Elaine, and said solemnly, "Don't talk to your children about old things." After finishing speaking, he hurriedly said to Claire, "Claire, don't listen to your mother's nonsense. This lady doesn't have a door on her mouth all the time, and she knows that she is arranging me." Claire looked embarrassed. She didn't want to know about the love triangles between her parents back then. So she said to Elaine, "Mom, you two will play mahjong, one in the afternoon and the other will go to the class reunion. Isn't that right? You? Just let Dad go."